One of the things that we've talked about is the importance of resting in God and letting God do the work when we rest. Okay? So, as a testimony, if it's okay, for all the resting, I have to tell you, it's kind of difficult for me not to rest for you in that area too. It's hard for me not to work in that area, but I was like, you know what, you love more than I do, so take care of them. So one of the things that I know Victoria and Miles have been kind of needing for the family was a car, and we've had a car that we come up for. So out of resting, a huge miracle came out. I'm so excited for you guys. I heard a little bit about it. I know that it's brand. Yeah. It's not a Volkswagen Bug, but it's like a sedan. It's a sedan that's like that. Yeah, and so it should be good on insurance, should be good on gas. I haven't seen it, I just forgot it.
I was looking at out of the car.
Yeah, so it's awesome. Anyway, just an example, and one of the things that we talked about is for resting, and so then Mr. Robinson, we're doing those things. Your situation's clearing up. Right. Anybody else have a praise report for things that have happened good in your life?
Okay. All right. So, my daughter, she's about to turn 2. She reached up and grabbed a big bucket of boiling water, and it melted her skin from here all the way to here. 2nd-degree burn. So she was up in Arnold Palmer, and my medical bill is about $8,000, and we don't have insurance. And I got needed for.
Oh, praise God. That's amazing.
And we're getting insurance back.
Wow. Oh, praise God. That's another praising, okay? I'm so happy. I'm going to cry. This is good.
What was your first
What?
What was the first one?
There was a card that was the APC.
They were on the list. Yeah.
So excited.
They were on the list to receive a car, and you know what's crazy is that the phone call was made to a few people. I talked months ago, and nothing came out of it, and I was getting very upset about it. So I'm like, take some favor now, come on. Let's have some favor going. Wow. And so it's hard for me to rest in that too, because you know I care about all of you. I know your prayer requests, I pray, and then I get a little upset because I'm like, okay, come on, Lord, a little bit faster. But then I have to remember that I have to rest too, because it's not even by my might or by my power, but it's by my spirit. So I remind them how much Jesus loves them, how much he died for you, how much he died for all of us, and that I know you're trustworthy. Because you're trustworthy, you're going to handle the situation too. And even if it feels like it's out of my control. And so it's awesome to see that some things are starting to happen and putting things into practice. Very much like what I was learning. The first thing I learned to do was rest. And when I started resting, all kinds of things started happening for me. So for tonight, that's what we're going to be doing, is learning a little bit more about resting. And one of the only things that God talks about in the New Testament to be afraid of is to be afraid of not resting. This is how serious he is about it. So let's do community tonight. Okay. I wanted to make this a habit for us, because I know a lot of times it seems a little bit weird to do it on your own. I'm used to doing it by myself, but I know that God loves for us to come together and agree with things. So for each class, if you can get here a little bit early, we'd like to do communion and make sure that that's part of our normal gathering together. And from what I understand, when communion is done in a corporate setting like this, God loves it, and all kinds of miracles happen in that area. So I'd love to see that happen on class. I'd love to see people healed miraculously. I'd love to see all kinds of things going on. So what we were talking about a little bit beforehand when everybody got here is one of the first things that I learned about communion is that we tend to take this communion thing and think it's just about health. It is about health. It's definitely about health. But it's also a picture of the death that Jesus died for us for, which is more than he died to cancel debts. He died to create relationships becoming better for you. He died to take care of all kinds of things, anything and everything. And Jesus said that he is the bread of life. And if you eat his body, then you are literally eating the essence of heaven. It's called a communion. It's a common meal. It's becoming one with Christ. So it helps you in all different areas. I know that Jeanette had just said that the last time we did communion that she had peace for the entire evening, like she hasn't had in a long time. So God understands where you are, He understands your needs, and He wants to fulfill all those needs for you. One of the things that happened when Christ was born, they took him to marry to a barn. Of course, you all know that he was born in Niger. He was in this area where they have, all these animals and everything. They didn't have a crib, so they laid him in a feeding house. This is a picture of feeding on Christ. Another reason why we do communion. Well, we have the grain offering. The grain offering was to be offered as a thanksgiving. And so we take communion and a thanksgiving of what He's already done. A reminder of what He's already done. And you all know that I like to talk about the mind a lot. And if this fits right, then everything else starts to flow with it. It's still amazing to me when I talk to people who haven't really got the idea of what goes on in the garden and what happened when Adam and Eve were first in there, that they sometimes really don't understand what happened. No, it's just a snake. They don't really understand the whole context behind it and why it's important to stop and really think about why God is saying what He's saying. And so everything that happened to us came in because our mind shifted. So when our mind shifted, death came in, all problems came in. We saw murder, anger, strife, all these different things started happening. So if by eating we could cause the curse to come in our life, we could cause the consequence to come in our life. And by eating we can also, so the more you take of it, and Jesus doesn't say, only take this time, only at this time, only at this time, as much as you want. As much communion as you want. How much health do you want? How much peace do you want? How many miracles do you want? Take it and see what happens. Okay. Learn in the class to understand why I use these types of crackers. Just to explain it to you, this is the grain offering that they used to use. God told them to make it this way. The reason why it has burned pieces on it is because it's meat. And a lot of times what we seem to think it's because we've done something wrong. But when you look at this, you're reminded that it's not that we've done something wrong. Christ has done everything right. And because it is no longer I, but Christ who lives in me, my life is more living in Christ. This means that He's taken everything for me. So it's a visual. And then you also, when you look at it, you see that it's pierced. It has little holes in it because Christ was pierced for our transgressions. Okay, and it also is thin because it doesn't have any leaven in it. Leaven speaks of sin, and Christ is a sinless body. So that's the reason why it's made the way it is. Giving you all a sheet before, you can follow that sheet if you'd like to. I just like to make it nice and simple, and I just thank God for what He's done for me by sending Christ. And I just tell Jesus, thank you so much for breaking your body for me, so that through your goodness I can be made whole. And even if you have something particular that you're dealing with, that you'd like help with, you can even mention that. If you have children at home, one of the things that I can suggest to you to start teaching them to see Christ as their answer, or even if you're still trying to get used to this as a new idea for you, to help as an individual person, help me visualize what the Bible actually tells me, to make it more applicable, I guess, or practical in my life. I went to Goodwill and I found a little wooden cross back in the dollar. There's just this big wooden cross. And what I teach them, oh, Jesus gives us a gift, and thank you, Jesus, and we keep walking. And my daughter's kind of learned to do that as well, because it's something that we made as a household. And then I had some legal issues popping up. Some of the things that I did was I took the documents that came in from the lawyer, from the court, and laid it down on the table and laid the cross on top of it. And so you throw it around the cross, it's done. I can walk away and rest. And sometimes we need that visual. I heard about some When I was younger, I heard about some people who used to have covenants with God. And so what they would do is they would take some sandals that they would be using with God. And they would write their prayer requests and they would put them underneath the sandal. Thank you, Jesus. And so there are lots of visuals that you can do if you have younger children at home, or if you're still trying to learn to get into this habit of resting and maybe comes with cards or something that you can do and make it more visual. If you're dealing with something, you can also take, something like I have a blanket, I have a headache, write it on a piece of paper and tape it to the cross. Thank you, you've taken this from me, and walk away from it. Leave it there, scratch it out, whatever you need to do. Make it visual. Don't worry about what other people think about you. It's called being holy. I'm holy. We don't see everybody else in the world thinking and blessing on the house. Whatever helps you to get into that mindset or that practice of using Christ as everything, you'll have that generation learning about you. So we'll go ahead and do communion when we get into it. Oh, yes. Yes. I think I have a couple of extras. Does anybody else need? If I don't have any tonight, I promise to bring some next time. I don't think I have. That's not what I think it was. No, I don't have any more.
I give you this one and I can make out choice.
Yeah, that'd be great. Can you bring one extra for me? Yeah, so yeah, I thought I had some extras, but I think I handed them all out. So, thank you. Okay. I'll bring several with me next week to make sure that I have some. I'm sure do you want to close the door so I'm not interrupted? Not that it's not good music, but does everybody have communion? Okay. So, Father, I just thank you so much that you care so much about us that we would stand on the side. We never did anything wrong. We never broke the law, we never lied, we never did anything other than love us to the very end. We thank you, Father, that it's this love that makes us good. Take this communion and continue. And we thank you, Father, that it's not just a piece of bread. We thank you that it has power in the spiritual realm. And we thank you, Father, that you've given it to us as for me to receive from you. So we thank you, Father, and we receive this blood. And it's in Jesus' name. So this is the presentation. Already taken care of. As cancer patients would say, it's in remission, which means that it's not bothering you anymore. So that's what it says about our sins. Our sins are in remission, which means that it's not there to affect us anymore. And this doesn't take away our sin, but this is a promise of the new covenant that Jesus died to give us. Covenants in the Bible and Hebrew culture are always covenant. This is a reminder to us that his blood has covered us. His blood fought a new covenant for us, which gives us everything that we need. Takes us back into the garden of state, where we can be happy, healthy, whole, taken care of, everything that we need, favor everywhere we go. All the different things that the Bible tells us that is put on the blood of the covenant. And this is just a reminder that on his own. And it says, look, it's not based on you and me, it's based on me. So your covenant is always based on Christ. And so here they have this covenant. Now God has fulfilled his covenant. We saw that he came through the very same picture that we saw cutting the covenant with Abraham. It's the same covenant God came and took them out of Egypt. We saw that. And so as they're coming out of Egypt, they're going through all these different scenarios. And by this time, they've come to a point where they're like, hey, look, God, whatever you tell us to do, we are able to accomplish it. We can accomplish anything you tell us to do. So at that point, God says, all right, but you still think that I can bless you based on your goodness. I want to bless you based on my goodness. That's what the covenant is all about. Remember, it's not about you. It's about me. And they still didn't get that. They still didn't understand that. So the law had to come to bring them to an end of themselves. So at this point, the law's already come. So I want you to realize that this judgment thing that we were just talking about is not for you. Okay? We can learn from it, but it's not for you. Jesus has already taken the judgment for you. He's already paid the price. He's already become the curse that you might have a blessing. Because his curse is everyone who was hanged on a tree. And Jesus was hanged on the tree on the cross so that he took the blessing. He took our place. So I want to make sure that that's clear. So as they're coming here, they've gotten to this point now. And we've talked a little bit about how our speaking works. Okay. But I want to show you how speaking and our mindset can work in a way that can be negative. And when we rest, we can be fixed. I don't know about you, but I have a tendency to do things out in my mind can be working. I mean, you can be laying down in your bed, and you can be physically resting, but your mind's going to go through. You got all these things going through. You don't know how in the world. Oh my gosh, and I'm trying to figure this out. And if I work this many hours, and maybe I can cover that. And if I do this, then maybe I can do that. And if I just say this to that person, then they'll behave differently. You know what I'm saying? Manipulation, all these different things doesn't mean mental rest. God wants you to have mental rest because this is chaos, and He wants you to have peace. So this is what's been happening. They've been going through all these different things, and they're kind of walking through their own, and they're getting through different areas. And they're coming to, at this point, is that they're getting ready to come into a land of Canaan. And God said it was a land flowing. This is out of Exodus. Flowing with what? Do you remember? Yeah. Milk and honey. And this is the last part. Yes, come, buy wine and milk without price. Why do you spend on what is not bread, and your wages for what does not satisfy? Listen carefully to me and eat what is good, all the truth. And you may have. So, this is something that I've referred to a lot for several years. And what's really neat about mine is that, so as we're going through the biggest brain, you don't have to have the best of anything. He says, as a matter of fact, come to me with nothing. And when you come to me with nothing, you will walk away with everything you're so lost. You know, when I was growing up, a lot of times I heard that God really didn't care about it. As a matter of fact, God wanted me out of my comfort so I can be effective. But I don't really believe that anymore. As one person from each tribe went out. So you had one person from each tribe, and there are 12 tribes of Israel, so that means there are 12 spies, right? So the 12 spies go out. As a matter of fact, God says, I want you to see how good it is. It's a picture of Israel today. They see us. And even unbelievers, they see us, and they see all the goodness in our life. And it should make them look Christ because of His goodness in our life. So this is why God wants you to have it, because it's enticing. So God wanted them to spy out the land. He wanted to see how good the land is, so they would know. Number one, before you go in and take the land, I want you to know that what I told you is right. So there's a whole reason why all this is happening. So they go out and they spy out the land, and they receive the report that they had when they came back. So in verse 21 in chapter 13, so they went up and they spied out the land from the wilderness of Zin as far as Rehob, near the entrance of Hamath. And they went up through the south and came to Hebron. It's not saying the descendants of Anak were there. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. Then they came to the valley of Eshal, and there cut down a branch with one cluster of grapes. They carried it between the two of them on a pole. sin or something like that. But the Hebrews, he's writing to the Hebrews, he's talking to some Hebrews are believers, some Hebrews are not believers. As he opens up, and I believe Paul wrote Hebrews because it's very much his style. As Paul opens up most of his other letters, he will explain why he's writing the letter. And in Hebrews, we're not really getting why he's doing this type of thing. Yeah. So in Hebrews, he's not saying to the saints. He's just talking and giving a history of God's dealings with the Israelites. So kind of keep that in mind when you read through Hebrews. When he's talking about the unpardonable sin, what he's really dealing with, he's dealing with a group of people who've come in to kind of spy on the Christian church, as they've done throughout. This is its fruit. Nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there. You're not laying your hands on unbelievers. You can pray for unbelievers, and they will be healed. This is something that God wants us to do. And then when you lay your hands on someone, remember, it's not you that's healing someone. Jesus is healing somebody. But this is what would happen. Someone would lay their hands on somebody, they would be healed. And they'd walk away healed. Oh my goodness. And then they'd go back to sacrificing animals, thinking that was going to be their salvation, that was going to be their remission of sins. But now that Christ is here, there's no more remission of sins. That's what a lot of it's talking about, is once you've been enlightened, once you've seen this, once you've tasted the goodness of God, you've been healed, you've had this happen, people are praying for you, things have happened. And you still go back to those weak and miserly things after seeing the immense power of God through Christ. So when you're reading that, this is what he's talking about. That's why he's writing what he's writing. It's not to you. It's to those Jews who have come to the point where they believe that Jesus really... There's a man called Eliphaz. Okay? He was Esau's son. Now remember Esau? That's what he's talking about. It doesn't have anything to do with you. Because if you read a little bit further, in chapter 6 is what I'm talking about. If you read a little bit further, it says that, beloved, I believe to better things concerning salvation. So you have that right there. He's talking about people who don't have salvation, people who do have salvation. So just to clear that up, just because if you decide to read from that information, you're upset about that. So I'm going to take in the context and show you what he's talking about here. What part of Hebrews? Hebrews chapter 3. And if you're looking for Hebrews, you have 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, and then you have don't eat popcorn, or Gentiles eat pork.
Actually, it's Gentiles eat pork chops, because after that,
Yeah,
I
like
didn't
that
have it completely right.
that's good.
G-E-P.
Yeah, Gentiles eat pork chops. That's awesome. I love that. I grew up understanding it was, don't eat popcorn. So then you have Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. And then after that, you have Timothy, 2 Timothy, and then Hebrews. So Hebrews is kind of intertwined. So just kind of help keep you in mind if you're trying to find it. It took me a little while to get there, so if it takes you a while to get there, it's okay. So in chapter 3, and we're going to be starting out in verse 5. And he's reminding the Israelites of their time that they've had with God all this time, and kind of bringing into mind some of the things that God has done for them. So here he's reminding them of Moses, who was their great teacher on the fathers. They had this coming out of their mouth. I don't know if God is for you, or if God is against me. Just to tell you, when I was going through some of the worst stuff, I was going through. Most of the time, what I was saying is that I don't know if God wants me to be in America and stay with my children and let go of my husband, or if God wants me to let go of my children and let go of my husband. I don't know what He wants me to do. And so I lived in doubt of whether or not God would help me. In my heart, I didn't know. And because I didn't know it, I didn't. So I'm telling you, I know where this comes from. I know how it feels to be in that position of not knowing whether God really wants to have something happen for you. But once this was cleared up, and once this was taken out of the way, this was taken out of the way. And when that was taken out of the way, and this was exalted, and all of my speaking, all of my thought processes, they were all changed. All kinds of good things started happening. And I'm talking about it happening pretty quickly. It's in a 4-month period. Bang. It hasn't stopped since. Jesus said that we will have signs and wonders following us. And I see signs and wonders in my life all the time. And in Galatians, you see that question, what happened to the signs and wonders? The miracles that God was doing so abundantly, they just stopped. What? The reason why is because the Judaizers came in and said, hey, look, you've got to keep this law, you've got to keep that law, you've got to do this right, you've got to do that right. And they stopped believing in righteousness based on Christ alone. They started believing that I have to do well, I have to do this, I have to do that in order to get God's miracles. Oh, I need to follow this, oh, I need to follow that. That's what happened in my life when I became a Christian. I wasn't supposed to get pregnant. I wasn't supposed to get pregnant. I had so much scar tissue from the damage that I had done that the doctors told me, you won't get pregnant. Talking about something called rest, entering rest. So I want to show you what God is really considering rest. But because of that understanding, I've been forgiven, doesn't have a big deal. And you know what's interesting too is that we're always worried about whether or not we love God enough, we love God enough, we love God enough. It's not based on your love for God. It's based on His love for you. And when you focus on His love for you, you know what Jesus says? Those who are forgiven much, love much. You want a closer relationship with God? Think about how much He's forgiven you for. And you'll start relishing that opportunity just to spend time with Him. When you go to the Bible, instead of being things that we talk about one day was the silver trumpets. I remember the silver trumpets. The silver trumpet, the trumpet is a picture of the gospel. The silver is redemption. Here's the other thing that I saw too, and when it's talking about silver trumpets, because y'all are kind of familiar and aware of this. You know, it also says that you should go with the silver trumpet over your grain offerings. So when you are taking communion, and you're taking communion for God, make sure you speak the redemption promises. That's by His stripes, something good. Or if you're looking for cancellation, through His poverty, I'm not much. You speak that word through your silver trumpet over top of your grain offering or communion. And that's another way that you can see those promises come to light in your life. This kind of something that caught my attention this week. So in this part of Numbers 13, they haven't reached the promised land yet. God promised them through Abraham. I don't know where we were going more about the covenant that Abraham fell into a deep sleep, very much like Adam, and that there was a covenant to be cut because Abraham was questioning God. How do I know that I'm going to have your promise? How do I know this is really going to happen for me? How do I know? Seeing as the only person told, and part of your promise is that my descendants would be as many as the stars in the sky, or as the sand of the sea. But I don't even have a child of my own. I don't have a promise of my own yet. But this is what they told me, and yet I don't see any way to happen because all I servant comes with. So how's this going to happen for me? So God says, look, let's have a covenant. So He puts Abraham to sleep, the same type of sleep that Adam fell under. He wouldn't know what was going on. But before he was put to sleep, the covenant was cut, and the way the covenant was cut is that you had two animals. The animals were divided. The two people who were part of the contract, or three, however many people were part of the contract, they would walk in between these animals to have these problems, and we can have other people focus on the problems that are in our life and say, there's no way you're going to be able to get that. There's no way you're going to be able to get happy. There's no way this is going to happen for you. There's no way this relationship could be renewed. There's no way. But here's what we saw in chapter 13, and even in chapter 12, was that God said, I have already given you that land. So what kind of promises is God already giving you? What is he giving you? Got some problems with some of your kids, maybe they're not doing well, maybe they're not going in the direction that you want them to. In Proverbs chapter 10, it says that the seed of the righteous, or in some translations, the posterity of the righteous shall be delivered. You're a parent, you want to see good things happening in your kid's life. There's a promise for you. And then once you say a promise, here's the key. Don't worry about it. How many of you here have worry? Do you know what worry is? Doubt. Do you know why you have doubt? Because you think it's in your power to change it. And because it's in your power, and you being human, and you being flesh and bone, you can't do anything to change it. You just have to know it's not for you. Okay. You can learn from it, but it's not for you. Jesus has already taken the judgment for you. He's already paid the price. He's already become the curse that you might have a blessing. Because his curse is everyone. He's hanged on a tree. And Jesus was hanged on a tree on the cross so that he could take the curse and we could take the blessing. He took our place. So I want to make sure that that's clear. So as they're coming here, they've gotten to this point now, and we've talked a little bit about how our speaking works. Okay. But I want to show you how speaking and our mindset can work together in a way that can be negative. And when we rest, we can be fixed. Father Moses, as they have spoken, so it will happen to them. As they have spoken. And you know where they are right now? They're in the wilderness. And we've already talked about the wilderness being that Hebrew word, davar, which means to speak, right? And this little word right here, this means beautiful, or cleansing. So here they are. They're living in a speaking area where God has been telling them, I've already given you everything. I've already given you everything that you need. But then in the middle of all, they say, oh, we can't take it. It's not possible for us. We're this big and they're that big. And so you know what happens is that God says, you know what? Only 2 of you have come back with a positive report. And the 10 people, the 2 people speaking positive, so you may have, say me, or somebody else in your life going, hey, God's going to take care of it. God's going to handle that for you. God's going to do this and God's going to do that. The majority can sometimes overrule the small voices. You see what I'm saying? So you have to make sure that you're listening to the small voices rather than the majority, because the majority will probably tell you it's not going to happen. It's not for you. You can't be good. You can't be that good. Or on the trees. You're like a grasshopper compared to that. But God, do you think that God knew that these people are already lying? Do you think that God knew? Do you remember we were talking about the covenant? Do you remember who God said was in the land? I'm giving you the land that has the Canaanites and Joshua, who is coming up under him. And then you also have all these other people. So Moses says, hey, look, let's send out the spies. God told me to send out the spies. I want you to spy on her and see how they live. And there's a couple little twists in there. You may have heard these stories. So they send out the spies. And they send out 12 spies. 1 person from each tribe went out. So you had 1 person from each tribe, and there are 12 tribes of Israel, so that means there are 12 spies, right? So the 12 spies go out. And as a matter of fact, God says, I want you to see how good it is. It's a picture of Israel today. They see us. And even unbelievers, they see us. They see all the goodness in our life. And it should make them look Christ because of his goodness in our life. So this is why God wants you to have it, because it's enticing. So God wanted them to spy out the land. He wanted to see how big the land is, so they would know. Number one, before you go in and take the land. Yeah, no, it's not. It's different. Yeah, I don't remember how to pronounce it either, but they called him Joshua. It's the son of Nun. I mean, it says Hoshea or something like that, son of Nun, or Osei, depending on which version or translation.
And Caleb means dog. And Caleb
Yes,
means dog.
yes, it does mean dog, but it also means persecutor of enemies. So you know who has a different spirit? Someone who persecutes his enemies. And also, I think we've talked about this before too. Joshua means salvation, because the cluster which the men of Israel had is that way. It's not only salvation, but it also means God or Yahweh is salvation. So here's what's interesting. Sorry, I'm writing. This is going to have some play in it too. Okay, and the wilderness of Paran is where they're staying at Kadesh. And they brought back word to them, and to all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. Then they told them, they said, "We went to the land where you sent us. It truly flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. Nevertheless, the people who dwell in the land are strong. The cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites, remember that in the New Testament, the Gentiles are called gods. So guess who's believing that they're going to get to the promised land? The Gentiles and Jesus. Joshua is a picture of Jesus. So if you team up with Jesus, you're going to get to your promised land. Okay. So these are the people that they saw there. Remember this one? Remember how we were talking about this before? Amalek. And then you can just follow them. So, this is the scenario that Hebrews was talking about, and God is calling it the land that's flowing with milk and honey, but Hebrews calls it the land of rest. So when you rest, you're in this land. It says that this is a man called Eliphaz. Okay, he was Esau's son. Now remember Esau? Remember what happened to Esau? And God said, "Jacob I have loved, but Esau I have hated," because he didn't want anything to do with all the blessings of God. He wanted to do it himself. So Eliphaz was his son, and what's interesting is that what would happen is that they would, in the cities of refuge, right? They made sure that the road was doubly wide. It's doubly wider than most of the city roads. This month is where they have Purim and the Passover. This month is the month of joy for them. And during this month, they want to make sure that this road is clear and that it's available for everybody to get to. Okay? God, and these are people who don't have Christ. And this is something that they will do. And they're making a way for a city of refuge, and our city of refuge is Christ. It's a picture of Christ where we can run to him. And one of the things that we talked about last week is how Christ, when he placed us under that trespass offer, he placed us under that manslaughter charge. And by being in manslaughter, we could run to the city of refuge. We could live as a high priest. We had what they had. We had to find us clothes, we find us food, find us this, find us that, find us music, find us everything. We had everything that the high priest had. And what was interesting, they don't have Christ, but they said, we're really excited about the Messiah coming, because when the Messiah comes back, and the cities of refuge will come back. Two people who don't have Christ, but they're looking forward to that time. But we already have it. We're with Caleb, we're already in the land. They're still trying to get there. But we already have it. Right? So, I know I talk a lot about how to speak. Speak with America and stay with my children and let go of my husband. Or if God wants me to let go of my children and let go of my husband. I don't know if God really wants me to. So I lived in doubt of whether or not God would help me in my heart. I didn't know. And because I didn't know it, I didn't know. So I'm telling you, I know where this comes from. I know how it feels to be in that position of not knowing whether God really wants to have something happen for you. But once this was taken out of the way, this was taken out of the way. And when that was taken out of the way, and this was exalted, and all of my speaking, all of my thought processes, everything in my life changed. All kinds of good things started happening. And I'm talking about happening. It's in a 4-month period. Thing. It hasn't stopped since. Jesus said that we will have signs and wonders following us. And I see signs and wonders in my life all the time. And in Galatians, you see that question, what happened to the signs and wonders? What happened to the miracles that God was doing so abundantly? They just stopped. What? The reason why is because the Judaizers came in and said, hey, look, you've got to keep this law, you've got to keep that law, you've got to do this right, you've got to do that way. And they stopped believing in righteousness based on Christ alone. They started believing that I have to do well, I have to do this, I have to do that in order to get God's miracles. Oh, I need to intend to a different gospel and what you feel that. That's what happened in my life when I became a Christian. I wasn't supposed to get pregnant. I wasn't supposed to get pregnant. I had so much scar tissue from the damage that I had done that the doctors told me, you won't get pregnant. And against all odds, what she's entertaining what he's saying, which is what happens to us. And sometimes he can come visit and tell me that understanding, I've been forgiven, doesn't have a big deal. And what's interesting too is that we're always worried about whether or not we love God enough, we love God enough, we love God enough. It's not based on your love for God. It's based on his love for you. And when you focus on his love for you, you know what Jesus says? Those who are forgiven much, love much. You want a closer relationship with God? Think about how much he's forgiven you for. And you'll start relishing that opportunity just to say something different. When you go to the Bible, instead of being condemned, you'll start seeing something different. You'll start getting more out of it. So God doesn't want us to restrain his righteousness as teachers. As pastors, we shouldn't restrain his righteousness. We shouldn't put any conditions on something that God didn't create. So this is in the land. You have Anak. These are giant. A little while may have heard of Nephilim. They were part of that group. This is also where the Philistines came from, Goliath and his brothers. They came from this. And just to tell you, they didn't destroy all of Anak and all of his descendants. Saul was supposed to destroy them all, and he didn't destroy them all, which left someone for David to fight later. So sometimes we can have some things that are lingering, but then we think that God's not going to do something. There's also this. And Paul put it this way, that is the of death. And so it's interesting is that when you look in Romans, we can go there if you want, or I can just read a few things to you. In Romans chapter 10, more than possession, we are well able to overcome it. But the men who had gone up with him said, we are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they gave the children of Israel a bad report in the land which they had spied out, saying, the land was its inhabitants, and all the people whom we saw in it are men of great stature. There we saw the giants, the descendants of Anak, and we were like grasshoppers in our own sight, and so we were in their sight. So listen, your mindset, where's your problems? They come out of your mouth. Other people's perceptions of your problems can come out of their mouth towards you. And here's the problem. We can have these problems, and we can have other people focus on the problems that are in our life and say, there's no way you're going to be able to do this, but I'm going to find a way to do it. I don't know how I'm going to control that person, make them change their mind. I don't know how I'm going to get this person back for what they've done to me. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do that. For me, how am I going to get my daughter to clean her hair? Just about any of those things. I'm still trying to figure it out. But the more that I try to think about it and figure it out, the more something nasty will come out of me where I'll come down with, you know what? Forget your friends this week. You're going to get that done. You're going to get it done now. So now I've just brought down law. What happens when the law. In Proverbs chapter 10, it says that the seed of the righteous, or in some translations, the posterity of the righteous shall be delivered. You're a parent, you're going to see good things happening in your kid's life. There's a promise for you. And then once you say your promise, here's the key. Don't worry about it. How many of you here have worry? Do you know what worry is? Okay. You can bring it into friendships. They wonder why his congregation isn't doing what it's supposed to do. We have a tendency to take new believers and say, hey, you know what? You need to be doing this. You need to be, now that you've received Christ, you need to be different. This is what's happening to our stuff comes out here. You make poor decisions because your emotions have taken over. You're eating from the wrong tree again. And because you're eating from the wrong tree, and I noticed this when I was with my daughter at one point. I was so upset with what was happening. We focus on the tree of life. So, what happens in all of this is that God gets a little bit upset. And he says, you know what? This is what I want you to tell them, Moses, as they have spoken. So it will happen to them. As they have spoken. And you know where they are right now? They're in the wilderness. And we've already talked about the wilderness being that Hebrew word, davar, which means to speak, right? And this little word right here, this means beautiful or cleansing. So here they are. They're living in a speaking area where God has been telling them, I've already given you everything that you need. But then in the middle of all this, they come and they say, oh, we can't take it. It's not possible for us. We're this big and they're that big. And so you know what happens is that God says, you know what? Only two of you have come back with a positive anymore. She wants to play this game instead. God still blesses me in spite of everything. So instead of me sitting here and looking at what's wrong with my thinking, I will look for somebody else. And say, you really have a real issue. And this is what the law does to us. So if you're finding any problems in here, take a look and see if you've got it all for somebody. So anyway, you've got the serpent in here, right? And he's and remember, he's this naked too. Actually, it says cunning in some of our, and I don't know why, because it's the same Hebrew word as Adam and Eve, and naked and not ashamed. It's the same word, but yet they call it cunning. I don't understand why they did that way. But he's a wrong as well. He can think just as wise and just as prudently as you and I can. So he knows how to use to make something look good, so that we'll take bite of it, but it costs us. He's very, very good at that. That's what he does. So what I thought was really interesting is that when you're looking at these dynamics, because I like to study people and I'm a counselor person that loves to study relationships. What's interesting is that we have this whole conversation between God and Adam and Eve. And Adam and Eve had just sinned, right? They had just taken from the tree. And the first thing we see is God showing up to spend time with them. And instead of them spending time with God, this is what they did themselves with God. If you still thought negative, you'll have 40 years in heaven. So, guys, you can hold it.
Your Joshua is HOSHEA.
Yeah, thank you. Hoshea or something like that.
Yeah, I'm almost gonna say Jose, but it's not. But I know that's not right.
Yeah, no, it's not.
H in it.
Yeah, it's
So I'm
different.
not pronouncing it.
Yeah, I don't remember how to pronounce it either, but they called him Joshua. It's the son of Nun. I mean, it says Hoshea or something like Nun or Osei, depending on which version or translation.
And Caleb means dog. And Caleb,
Yes.
that means dog.
Yes, it does mean dog, but it also means bare and utterly helpless. Right? So this says, who told you that you were bare and utterly helpless? Who told you? The next question, did you eat? This is our mind every single day. This is our battle every single day. Am I really going to say that to somebody? Am I really going to say what I feel? Because what I feel won't promote what I want it to, but I have a desire to. When we have a desire to say something that we know will hurt somebody else, it's usually because we want to try to control them. We want to try to control how they treat us. And if I hurt you, then you'll stop hurting me. If I hurt you enough, you'll understand how I hurt you and you'll stop it because you'll know how it feels. That's the cycle of revenge. It's this, constantly, you hurt me, I hurt you, you hurt me. And then there's this never-ending constant cycle of anger and distress and yuck and eventually murder. Murdering somebody with your mouth. Jesus put it that way. If you have said you're a fool to somebody, Jesus says you're yours. So guess who's believing that they're going to get to the promised land? The Gentiles and Jesus. Joshua is a picture of Jesus. So if you team up with Jesus, you're going to get to your promised land. Again and again and again. And hearing it as a kid, it's not right. I remember, I don't know how many different things. I mean, it wasn't my fault. We didn't have money growing up. I had to wear my brother's clothes. So they called me a boy. Oh, she's a girl, but she's trying to be a boy. I mean, just even simple things like that bothered me all the days of my life. So you know what? I refused to wear dresses. I said, fine. And I'll just be a boy. There's all these different things. And so I hung out with boys. And because I hung out with boys because they didn't tease me and taunt me like before, I was a slut. I was this and that. And then that just went worse and worse and worse. But I accepted that word the first time around. So that set me up for more, and set me up for more, and set me up for more. But what I thought was really interesting when I was meditating on this is that we kind of get the impression that the enemy tells us that we're naked, and that we're really very helpless. But it's not the enemy who tells us that. The enemy doesn't tell us that. It's eating from this that tells us that we're utterly very helpless. So we can't blame everything on the snake. So you want to say, oh, Satan did this, and oh, Satan did that. It's not Satan. For the most part, it's not Satan. It's because this month is the month of joy for them. And during this month, they want to make sure that this road is clear and that it's available for everybody to get to. Okay? God, and these are people who don't have Christ. So what does it mean to be the righteousness of God through Christ Jesus? Here's even a little bit more control. Well, it means that Christ died on my behalf. So that means that I have a right to a Zoe life. I have a right to abundant life in the to give me. So then after eating that, we are what we eat. So we're eating this good word, and we speak that good word, and we start to see those good things happening. You see what I'm saying? So does this make sense? Find us clothes, find us food, find us this, find us that, find us music, find us everything. Everything that the high priest had. And what was interesting is that they don't have Christ, but they said, we're really excited about the Messiah coming, because when the Messiah comes back, and the cities of refuge will come back. Two people who don't have Christ, but they're looking forward to that time. But we are
Coconut milk, which is one of the most helpful things, and they've actually used coconut milk instead of serum or instead of lactate ringers or something to, like as a blood substitute and stuff.
yeah.
Well, in emergencies, they use.
Like he also said, we shall have a rule. That is very cool. And that could very well be. I mean, they had dates and figs. It's the same area that had the desert and had palm trees and things like that. So I can very easily believe that.
It's very good for hydrating yourself also.
Yeah, coconut water.
Coconut water.
Yeah. And that's when I'm running, I'll get coconut water because it's better. That's really interesting. And one of the things that the Bible talks about too is it calls, for I taste your words, my ears taste your words, the same way that my mouth tastes them. And what's interesting is that Jesus has been, throughout the Bible, he's a picture of the Honeycomb. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I thought maybe I should bring this in. It's great too. Isn't that interesting how the doubt showed up? It's really amazing when you look at what the Bible has to say. I mean, it's really living and breathing. It's sharper than a double-edged sword. It gives you every answer that you need for life. So here we have that little okay. Remember we have this little dude. Okay. So what's interesting is that the serpent, it's not really a snake per se. Whenever we're used to thinking about it as a snake, he's not really a snake. Actually, what it means in Hebrew is a shining one. Maybe the enemy can come in as an angel. Paul even puts it this way: if an angel even comes and tells you a different gospel than what you've heard from me, let him be accursed. So here's Satan, because you really sit there and think about it. Why would Eve talk to a snake? That seemed kind of odd to her, some snake opens its mouth. Why is her need to be clean? Because I need to see it that way, or because she needs to see it that way? So then I started thinking, well, I'd like to see it that way, so how do I like her to make her do it? Maybe I can bribe her. Maybe I can yell at her. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do that. And the more I push her, the less she wants to do it. The more I push her, the more rebellion I get. So I looked at it this way, I said, okay, I need wisdom. I need wisdom with my right head every day. He pointed Eve to was this one. Why? Because this was the only thing God said no about. God didn't say, and I know that this is not a representation of who you really are. I think that that's who you really are inside. You know, yeah. Blew me away. I mean, I don't have to scream or fight or ground you or all these things. I mean, you really don't want people to think that this is the kind of person that we're made of. Jesus, I know this is not you. Maybe it's just you haven't thought about it or anything, but I gave an option. I said, if you want to clear it up, we can clean it up. Good choice. I said, if we don't want to clean it up, go please keep the door closed. I don't want to see it because that's moving, you know? But then the other thing that I thought too, you know, the more that I take care of the house and I take care of this, and you know, I need to make sure learn that thing. And giving her the grace to be her will cause that, you know, I'd rather her have a dirty room in our relationship with her And if she picks up that habit later on down the line, that'll be good for her. And if she wants to live her life that way, then we live her life that way. But her room is not going to make her break us. That's the thing I want more than anything else. That I don't want her room or what I want to see from her. I don't want that to make or break our relationship. I want our relationship to be this is my child, and I love you because you're my child. I don't love you because you clean your room, or your sister cleans her room, so I'm going to love her, and I'm going to cast you off. And the last thing I want to do is start comparing, and that's what we can do with each other. Well, this person must be a good Christian because they have this, and this. Or they look good on the outside, but do you clean the outside or anything? Yeah, that's pretty nice to do. That's what the things are.
Yeah.
I should have had anything with that nerve. Oh my God. Help me, Father. But, it's really interesting too because, it's the more we has to do with working things out. Laboring, trying to figure it out, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to find a way to do it. I don't know anything in me too, so I'm going, maybe it's just she's like too close to the truth. Maybe that's why she behaves that way. But I just thought that was interesting. There was something I hadn't caught before. But, we tend to think it's a snake that makes us feel helpless, but it's not the snake. It's the food we eat. That's why I put that up there at the very beginning. God says that if we eat from Him, actually it says if you listen carefully, it says listen to me, that in Hebrew it literally says shema shema. Listen carefully, and your soul will delight in the righteous before. And when this is happening, everything else kind of goes by the wayside. That stress starts to fall off. Relationships get better because now you're making decisions and your words are coming out according to peace rather than trying to solve a problem in your own mind. Maybe that's why you're in the So I learned that lesson myself. Makes sense? Any questions? Okay. 15 minutes over, but I did finish on time. And we got communion in, so that was a fun lunch. Okay. Okay. Everybody get your prayer request there? So before you go, the other thing I wanted to start making sure I did too was make sure that we blush to the front. There's a high priest with my court life and the things that were happening at that point. I even went to my daughter and said, are you playing that game with me? Do you know what God says about witchcraft? And I took her to the Bible and I showed her. That's what God says about witchcraft. I wonder why we're having problems in our household. We need to stop playing that game right now. You know what she did? She burst into tears and she cried, and she cried, and she cried. Because it's something that she enjoyed. And my law put a wedge between us. So that now she went to the point where she snuck around my back and she played at friends' houses. She played at her dad's house. As a matter of fact, her dad said, ooh, great, your mom doesn't like it. Here's all the money you need to get everything you want for that thing. Totally cut me out of the picture. And so I go, that wasn't supposed to happen, but I'm going to stand my ground because that's what the Bible says. I took the Bible and beat her in the head with it. It caused a rift in my relationship with her. You know what she does now? She doesn't want to have a son with a cure. It doesn't have anything to do with my life. I am not under the law anymore. She wants to play this game instead. God still blesses me. It's fine if you're playing. So instead of sitting here and looking at what's wrong with my thinking, I will look for somebody else. And say, really have a real issue. And this is what the law does to us. So if you're finding any problems in here, take a look and see if you've got it all for somebody. So anyway, you've got the servant in here, right? And he's And remember, he's this naked too. Actually, it says cunning in some of our, and I don't know why, because it's the same Hebrew word as Adam and Eve. And naked and not ashamed, it's the same word that